Mahaparinirvana Sutra. Okay, most important thing in here, the real bone of it is one poem. All formations are impermanent. This is the law of appearing and disappearing. When both appearing and disappearing disappear, this stillness is bliss. So Zen Master Sung San, often when he traveled around, he would quote this, especially when we had audiences who weren't originally Buddhist, but were interested. Then he'd say, Bible says, be still, know that I am God. So this stillness is bliss, and be still, know that I'm God, same point, same point. So showing how the origin of these, the original point of all these religions is same point. That's where we all connect. So also very important, this sutra, it talks about appearing and disappearing. Everything is appearing and disappearing. When in our mind this appearing and disappearing disappears, this stillness is bliss. So when we, when you go to a movie theater, you watch the movie, everything's moving. But if you pull the film out of the projector, each frame is unmoving. And maybe there's 14 frames per second. Maybe there's 24 frames per second. Hinduism, they believe there's the equivalent of 71 moments in each second. That's why sometimes thinking appears so quickly, even in a very short time, when your mind is focused, usually not by effort, but by circumstance. People used to say they fall out of their building and their life flashes before them. It's just very quick thinking, but they can see each one very clearly. So when we take the film out, we see each frame's not moving. That's very important. That's stillness. So in our light, when the frame that comes in front of the projector's light is clear, then the movie's clear. When the frame that comes in front of the projector's light is not clear, the movie's not clear. So we think about there is past, present, and future. But the Diamond Sutra says, past mind can't get to enlightenment, present mind can't get to enlightenment, future mind can't get to enlightenment, which means time, this experience of time is created by our thinking. Where's the past? Where is it? Oh, it's yesterday. Well, where is that? Where's the future? It's out there someplace. Dae Sunim often talked about how in the college town he went to, there was a bar. And one day they stuck up a sign and it said, free beer tomorrow. So of course, all the college students were like, cool. And they showed up at the bar the next day and they said, we want our free beer. And the owner said, look at the sign, free beer tomorrow. That's the future. So when we're like this projector light, and this moment becomes clear, our movie, our life is clear. When this moment's not clear, our movie's not clear, and we're controlled by our karmic cycles. So this sutra is also teaching, attain this moment mind. Very important. When appearing and disappearing disappear, then you can stop the world. Each moment is unmoving. So you can perceive very clearly, you can attain moment truth, even as it changes. No way to do that with thinking. Only practice can help us do that. So when we have this mind just now, then this world stops and you can see each moment very quickly. very clearly. So some people say, when there was this car, I was in this car accident and suddenly everything was moving in slow motion. It just means your mind is very attentive and clear through all this changing stuff, and you can see it without this blur, you know. It's very important. Sometimes athletes will say that. You know, a baseball is coming in to the batter around 90 to 100 miles an hour, about 150 to 180 kilometers an hour, very fast. It's a small ball and it's covered with a hide that's stitched. And every once in a while, the batter will say, I could see the stitching as it came in, slowly turning. Their mind suddenly, from playing again, suddenly their mind is just there. You know? There's this great play, this famous player, Willie Mays, in the 50s and 60s in America, fantastic outfielder. He'd always catch the ball like this. He made it look so easy. And one time in a very crucial game, this guy hits the ball to center field, must have been 100, 140 meters, you know, 400 feet. And he's got to catch the ball and he turns and he's just running full speed and he catches it over his shoulder. And then as he's jogging in, it's the last out, so it ends things. He's jogging in, the other fielder comes over and Willie May said, I had it the whole time. Now, how can human beings figure that stuff out? The player's so far away, he's swinging the ball, and already he can tell as soon as it goes where it's going. And he gets there on time. And actually, people are very funny because the guy who pitched the ball was brought in just to pitch to that one man. And when he came back, he said, I got my man. Wasn't him that did it. But anyway, that means this sutra teaches when we get moment mind, boom, 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 stop, 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 stop. Each thing's very clear, okay? Very interesting, one sentence Sung San Kun Sunim says. He says, when you lose moment mind, by following your thinking, you believe everything is real. If you're thinking it's not real, that's thinking. But if you're just clear, 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 you don't have a problem. And I'll talk about this with another sutra. Okay. Next, very important sutra, Lotus Sutra. Whole schools of Buddhism around the Lotus Sutra. Actually, the Lotus Sutra, the full title is Clear Enlightenment Lotus Flower Mystic Dharma Sutra. And you know, some of you may know the Japanese school, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. That's the Japanese pronunciation of the title I just read in English. And in the 70s, when I was around, very famous time that people, lots of people in America were practicing that because they were told, oh, if you chant this, you'll get what you want. I worked in the shipyard building a nuclear submarine, and I remember one of the guys came in, he says, you know, I learned this mantra, and everybody's like, what, the mantra, what are you talking about? And he says, oh yeah, you know, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, this Tina Turner does it, and I heard her talking about it. So the other day I was hitchhiking to work and nobody was coming, so I just started chanting the sutra and somebody picked me up, you know, so. I don't think he kept practicing Buddhism, but who knows, maybe he's a Zen master somewhere. But anyway, this is really popular sutra with lay people because it's basically teaching that lay people can get enlightenment, can attain truth and get enlightenment. And many stories, if you know Buddhist stories, many of the Buddhist stories come from here. You know, the story about the burning house. Buddha says, you know, this world is like a burning house. And I yell to the children who are inside, children, come out, but they don't care. They're very interested in the house, even though it's burning up. So I yell to them, oh, I made 3 carts. They're really nice carts. One is pulled by a deer, and one is pulled by a horse, and one is pulled by an elephant. If you come out, you can play with these carts. And then they get excited. There's good toys out here. So they come out and then they're saved from the burning house. Basically, those carts are Buddhism. So we'll get out of the burning house and wake up. But there's also, why is it called Lotus Flower Sutra? Because the lotus flower is always pure and clean and clear, even as it grows in the mud, which means you don't need to leave lay life to find your true nature. So the story is when Buddha started to give that Dharma speech to, thousands of monks, half the monks stood up and left. They couldn't handle hearing that because their whole path was to leave social life to become pure and clear and attain nirvana and be done with this universe or something, be done with existence. I don't know, be done. And Buddha's telling people, oh, no, we are like the lotus flower. In any situation, it blooms and it stays clear. So there's many, many famous stories in there where he's talking about how in the midst of lay life, understanding our true nature and getting enlightenment. And that's the Lotus Sutra, okay? Next, Avatamsaka Sutra. Now, this is really a special one. There's a big school many, many years ago. Even there was a Zen master, I think, who was both a Zen master, patriarch, and a patriarch of this school. And in some, they kind of organize, or one of the schools, like it's either the Avatamsaka school or another school, they organize the sutras kind of like a university course. Like the Theravada Sutras would be primary school, middle school, high school, and then Diamond Sutra and all this other stuff. Many of these others, maybe the Heart Sutra or something would be, or some of the Hinayanas is university, and then some of the Mahayana Sutras are a graduate school, and then the Avatamsaka Sutra is postgraduate, post-PhD, and it's huge, it's very long, and it's basically a story of one young practitioner monk who visits 53 different teachers. Some are Sunim, some are lay people, some are men, some are women, and all the experiences he has. And he meets many, many Buddhas. There's chapters in there about Kwanzaa Boso, Avalokiteshvara. And the basic teaching is everything is truth. And the most famous sentence is, if you wish to thoroughly understand all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, then you should view the nature of the universe as being created by mind alone. So very important. This whole universe is created by mind alone. So you make your universe, I make my universe, dog makes dog's universe, cat makes cat's universe, elephant makes elephant's universe, ant and bee and fish and everything makes their own universe. So for example, dog never says dog. Human beings call me dog, We do that. We say that. The sun never says, I am sun. You must call me son. In Korea, what is it? Taeyang. Taeyang. You must. Why would the sun say to Americans, call me son, but to Koreans, Taeyang? The sun doesn't say that. We say that. We make that. So we make our world. Sung Sansanim used to love going around and saying, Polish dog says how. And I forget, some other country dog says arf arf. And Korean dog says mung mung. And American dog says woof woof. So which one is correct dog barking? None of them. They are all human beings barking. If you want to understand a dog's barking, you must ask a dog. So we make our world. Then we think it's everything. And then we create endless suffering. And the stories and all the teaching is how this young practitioner goes around and all the ways he learns to see through these things. from all these different teachers. And at the very end, he meets Manjushri. And Manjushri asks him, what did you learn? And he gets completely stuck. You know, he's got 53 teachers' teachings in his head, and he's suddenly completely stuck. And then Manjushri reaches out and touches his forehead, and he gets enlightenment. It's a good sutra when you get enlightened at the end. So also in the Avatamsaka Sutra, there's this kind of teaching. In Hinayana Buddhism, and I think I said this in the first class, there's 3 poisons: desire, anger, and ignorance. We use the 3 practices of precepts, concentration, and insight to take away the 3 poisons, and we're saved from suffering. But the Avatamsaka Sutra teaching is desire, anger, and ignorance is also Buddha nature. As a great Korean Zen master once said, one day you realize your ignorance itself is Buddha nature. The whole universe is. But it doesn't mean you can indulge in them, because then you will get tons of suffering. Cause and effect is functioning, okay? But to think something is, Buddha nature and something is not, is a mistake. So sometimes people will say after a period of sitting, they'll say, oh, I had a good meditation today, or I had a bad meditation. I don't understand what they're talking about. You know, let's say, well, I do. They're talking about some feeling they had. You know, let's say you're sitting and you're nervous and you're thinking a lot, but you realize it very clearly. Today, many thinking, you know. Our teaching isn't about being peaceful and calm and quiet and this and that. It's about becoming clear. If you're clear, inside that is unmoving. So one time I was going into, somehow I feel like I told this recently too, but I don't know, maybe not to you. Probably I did. I was going into the interview room at Hobeng Temple in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, and the sitting is upstairs, and then people come down waiting for interview in another room. So if I have the bell inside the room to signal for the next person, they can't hear it. So one lady sits outside in the office, and one of the bhikkhunis from the temple sits there to make sure it runs smoothly, and the lady rings the bell each time somebody comes out. So I was going into the interview room to begin afternoon interviews, and this lady, this Boson was there, and I see her all the time when I'm there. She works for the temple, and she's always smiling. And I stopped for a moment and I said, you know, you're always smiling, but I think inside, maybe you're not always happy, you know, you're thinking something. And then the nun says, Zen master, lots of thinking today. And I saw in my mind, very quickly hunt for a clever answer. You know, this all happened in like a second. Couldn't find one. And then I said, today, many thinking, Zen master, many thinking. And we laughed, and I like, wow, got out of that one. Just clear, just clear, just clear. So if we have this opposites, this is clear, this isn't clear, this is pure, this isn't pure, we won't get wisdom. But the Avatamsaka Sutra talks that point. So the Mahayana people say it was the first sutra, the first teaching Buddha gave, but he saw people couldn't understand it. He had to prepare them. So he went back and started in the sequence that we're familiar with now. Who knows? The Song of Dharma Nature. This is actually written by a Korean monk named Wisang, who was a good friend of Wan Hyo's. And they were going to China together. On the way, Wan Hyo, Sunim got enlightened, so he didn't go. Wisang went, studied many years, came back, and the two of them were the main teachers of Korean Buddhism at that time. And it's based on the Avatamsaka Sutra. And basically, it's pointing to the nature of Dharma. Basic point is not one, not two. And it's also teaching Attain moment. Okay, so there's a famous koan that relates to this Song of Dharma Nature. 10,000 dharmas return to one. In Chinese, 10,000 means like infinite. So all the infinite things return to one. Where does the one return? So it's teaching that point. If we attain that one, then we attain everything. If that becomes your experience, then your wisdom appears. So understanding this won't help. You know, understanding when I'm hungry, I must eat, won't take away your hunger. Eat, practice. So that's the first part of the bone of Mahayana Buddhism, okay? Going from emptiness, from nothing to something. Attaining empty, attaining name and form is empty, attaining the middle way, everything is complete, attaining everything is complete, so everything's truth, attaining everything's truth, then everything is no hindrance. Good, bad, like, dislike, life, death, sickness, health is no hindrance. Then if we have that, there's no I. Each thing is just me and the universe together. Great love, great compassion, great bodhisattva appears. So Mahayana teaching is your true self is great compassion, not our idea of compassion. So don't hold an idea. Do it. Do it means practice meditation. Do it. So turn it back to the monitor, and it's 8:32 here in Korea. So I think it's question and answer time. If anybody has any questions. Okay, so why are you thinking about emptiness and nothing? I mean, if you're thinking, that's not empty and that's not nothing. So don't think about that. That's all, that point. Okay, very important. When you notice that thinking appears, cut it. Use your practice to cut it. It doesn't matter what you understand. Oh, I understand rice and I understand beans. And if I eat them together, then I get the same protein as if I eat meat. It doesn't matter. Do it. Okay? Don't make an emptiness. Don't make nothing. Don't think about them. This means one, this means the other. Emptiness or nothing is like this. And in the Compass of Zen, Sunim also talks about this. You have a mirror. You put a ball in front of it, a red ball. Then the red ball is reflected in the mirror. You take the ball away, it's not in the mirror anymore. That name is emptiness, okay? The mirror never has anything in it. It's just reflecting what appears. That's all. If the mirror holds, then it's not a mirror, you know? Human beings are like that. We have the ability to be a mirror, that's all. Just reflecting moment to moment, but we hold and suffering appears. So don't hold ideas like emptiness and nothing and how do they relate to one another. This won't help you at all. Definitely throw them away. If you experience it, then the words are just useful sometimes. But if you don't experience, and even if you experience, I experience emptiness, that's a mistake right there. Practice, practice, and go see a teacher, okay? See a teacher. Don't hold on to these conceptual ideas. You don't need to know them. Just keep this image, okay? You become like the mirror. That's your true bodhisattva nature. My face comes in front, it reflects my face. Some movie star comes in front, it reflects the movie star's face. Then I come back and it's like, I don't like your face. The mirror doesn't say, I want that movie star's face. In fact, I like that girl's face better than I like your face. No, it just reflects. It just reflects. Name is empty nature. Okay? Name is nothing. Second question. when I first came to the Zen Center to live, I'd been practicing about 6 weeks. I had met Seung Sahn Sunim, done three-day retreats with him, and I kept some daily practice going. I think bowing in the morning, 15 minutes sitting, and after work and dinner, 45 minutes sitting. So I'd just been practicing a little while, and I quit my job, moved in the Zen Center, got another job because, you know, I had to make money. And I was miserable. I was very, very unhappy. I guess you could say I was depressed. And every day I would try and put it down, put your opinion down, and keep the schedule and go to work and do it. And one day I came home from work about half an hour before dinner, and I washed up and I was tired, and I went and I lay down in my room. And suddenly I realized I could feel I'm tired, I'm not depressed. And before, I never could separate the two, you know? So if you practice, you may have a feeling a lot over and over and over. One day it's gone. That's all. That's all. Nothing else. Don't think about it. Try. Sahn Sunim gave me a mantra to do, okay? Gate, gate, para, gate, parsan, gate, bodhisattva. So he said 3,000 times a day. I rarely made it 3,000. My brain must be very slow. There was a young girl in the Zen Center, a Korean girl, who was like 7 years old, and Sahn Sunim, she didn't want, oh, interesting story. This moderator, Bolsonim, if yes. I told this story before, you stop me, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Her name was Kie, and she came to live in the Zen Center when she was 7. And she lived with Zen master Songyang, who was not a Zen master at the time. Sahn Sunim said, you're her guardian. And actually, she ended up adopting her. And she lives with you. She go to school, learn English, everything. And Bobby would make her go to morning practice. She had to go to bowing and chanting, but she was allowed to go back to sleep during sitting before breakfast in school. She was 7. Then this kid's very smart. She's now 52, actually. But in any case, I wasn't there yet. I came 2 years later. So I heard this from her, the girl. So summertime comes, and Kie announces to Bobby, I have school vacation, so now I have practice vacation. And she wouldn't get up in the morning to go to practice. It's kind of a cool kid, you know? So finally, Bobby couldn't convince her to go. So she took Kie to see Seung Sahn Sunim. Then, of course, she knew Seung Sahn Sunim. Seung Sahn Sunim brought her from Asia and gave her to Bobby because she wasn't being raised by her parents and was floating around to all these different places. And Sahn Sunim says to her, when you grow up, what do you want to be? What do you want to be when you get older? And Kie says, a witch, you know, manyo in Korean. I want to be a witch. And Sahn Sunim, Kie told me the story. Sahn Sunim said, you can. You have to do 108 bows and 10,000 Kwanzaa Bozos every day for 3 months. And she got all excited about it, and she did it. And even 2 years later, when I came, I saw her. Boy, she could do Kwanzaa Bozo so fast. I thought, my brain is like mud. And she's just like, with the beads and bowing. So she told me she did it. And by the end of the summer, she didn't really want to be a witch anymore. But anyway, there's many funny stories about her too. She ended up going to the best art school in America. And I met her when she was, again, we lived together, you know, for a long time when she was growing up and graduated high school. She went to this art school. And I met her when she was about 20. You know, she dresses fancy, and she, you know, when she's unhappy, she goes to the Zen Center, and she's got a boyfriend probably. And she had an older sister who also ended up at the Zen Center. And I asked her, what's your older sister doing? And Kie says, she's in another world. And I said, what world's that? She said, the world of desire, anger, and ignorance. I thought, this Buddhism's so deep in this kid's head, even though she's living a normal life, you know? So practice. Then you'll see by itself, one day certain feelings will disappear. Sometimes even during a sitting, it'll disappear. That name is emptiness. But because we made a strong karmic habit, it comes back. If you keep making that habit again and again, it won't go away. A little bit, you know. But if you really start changing that habit, that mind habit, that body habit, one day it'll be done. So one of our first Jito Popsas, he said, you know, our karma is like a basketball and we bounce it, you know, and then we come to a 3-day or 1-week retreat, we pull our hand away. And then the ball slowly by itself. And we feel better. And he said, but then the retreat ends and, you know, we want to, we hit it a little bit. We hit the ball again. And we just want to check, you know, and we hit it again and again and again and again and again. And soon we're out dribbling our karma all over the place again. So pull your hand away. Don't even fight with yourself. Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. That's checking. When you notice, do your mantra, be aware of your breath, do 500 bows every day, do something regular, and you don't have to understand emptiness. Something that you had is gone. You know, it's like that. I'm sure many people have experienced somebody dies. Where are they? I was very close to my mother's mother, and she died at like 87. I was in Europe. Whenever I would travel around, I would send her postcards. So one day I'm in Switzerland, we're doing a workshop. I'm already a monk. And I go out for a walk after lunch, the Zen workshop, and I see this really nice postcard, Switzerland's so beautiful. And I think to myself, I want to send it to my grandmother, but I didn't bring any money. So I went back to the room I was staying in, took about 5 minutes to go back, and I put the key in the door. And as I opened the door, I suddenly thought, oh my God, she died 2 months ago. Where can I send the postcard? Okay, just practice, live your life, and by itself, you get a taste of what is emptiness without an idea. And the taste is much more valuable than any idea. Okay, so don't think about it so much. Find a practice from a teacher and then employ it when these things keep appearing, and employ it sometimes if you got 500 a day or 3,000 a day, or like Kie, 10,000 a day. Maybe Kie's a witch now, you know, she's 52, could be. Any more questions? Desire, anger, ignorance. Desire is easy to see, hard to take away. Anger is hard to see, easy to take away. Why is it hard to see? Because we think we're right. That's the hindrance with anger. Hard to see, easy to take away. Ignorance is hard to see, hard to take away. So desire, why do you have to take it away? You know, what desire do you have a problem with? There's only 5: food, sleep, sex, money, fame. Which one's your problem? You know, if it's food, then just try a week with a very clear plan. I used to have a problem with food. I'd eat too much and then I wouldn't eat for a week, even when I was living in the Zen center. And it was horrible. Boom, 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 boom. Finally, one time, Sung Sansini made me the head Dharma teacher, the head monk, for a 3-month retreat. Nobody was coming and going. There were 25 of us in one building in an old temple in Korea. And I knew I have to be steady. Oh, I also used to have this habit, because Santini told me to do it, get up at midnight, 500 bows, go back to sleep. And then some days I'd be all wreck and everything, but now I'm ipsum, so I can't do that. So I knew, okay, one thing is I'll pick another time of the day to do the 500 bows, I'll sleep all night. But the other problem was food. So before the retreat began, we had 4 bowls. I took one of the bowls, the second bowl, and I can't remember if I poured in a cup of water or a cup and a half. But I took a nail, I poured the water in, and I scratched the line on the inside of the bowl where the water came up. And that summer, for a winter, for 3 meals a day for 90 days, I filled it up to that point. Soup, rice, salad, anything, just up to that point. And ate the same amount 3 times a day for 90 days. And after that, I really haven't had too much trouble with food. I have a different problem with my stomach now, but I'm 70, so it's just getting old. But yeah, do something like that. Make a plan. I just became 70, and so I decided to do what turned into a 3-week juice fast. Commercial break. Now, I was thinking of doing a commercial on coffee because in Korea, believe it or not, Korean consumption per person of coffee in the last 10 years has risen more than any other country in the world. And if you were here 20 years ago, pretty much the only coffee you could get was 3-in-1 mix, total garbage. Now you don't have to walk 10 meters and there's a coffee shop. We have a road a 1.5 kilometers long. It was a farm road. They put in a paved road, and now there's 7 coffee shops and nothing else on our road. But it's great. When they first put one in, I was like, how can I keep the retreat people from going down for coffee? And then I realized I can't on the breaks. Now I go down for coffee on the break. And the nice thing about having 7 coffee shops is you can take a short walk, a medium walk, or a long walk and get your coffee. But I'm not going to drink coffee at night. And I found out something very interesting. The most damage to the environment, emissions of gases and chemicals and waste of water and everything, comes in terms of food production from producing meat, any kind of meat. The second most, after all the categories of meat that produces these kinds of things, is coffee and chocolate. And I'm horrified. What am I going to do about my coffee drinking now? I am contributing to global warming. So my commercial tonight is fruit juice. Just like 2 weeks ago. Fruit juice, producing fruits and vegetables are one of the lowest climate changing gas emissions of all food production. And also, they use much less water than any animal products. So drink juice, excuse me. So I did a juice fast for 3 weeks. So try that. And you know what I found out about food? I wasn't hungry. I missed the entertainment value of having food in my mouth. Next question. So mantra, practicing, and control your diet, even for a little while. Go nuts 1 day a week, but get some center. Live longer, live happy. Save the planet. Next. What are you lacking? You're lacking suffering? Then give yourself a hard time. Do something difficult. Go take care of old people. Volunteer in your city to help the homeless. You don't need to suffer, but do something for others. Buddha gave himself suffering, but that might not be your way. Just do something for others. You don't need to stay home as, I don't suffer that much, and so how can I help others? You might meet somebody that you really like. You might learn a lot. One of our students began as a hospice volunteer in New York City, and he told me what he really learned was listen. And then he got so into it, he went back to graduate school and got a social works master's, and he works in a hospice. And he sent me pictures of him during the pandemic in New York City. He said, every single day, somebody in his building died from the coronavirus. Even one of the workers did. He managed to stay healthy. So he's not suffering, but he took a job that helps others. So do that. It'll make you happy too. You don't have to suffer. You just have to suffer if you want to sing the blues. That's what they say. Next.
Okay, I'm afraid we have very short of time, so
We have infinite time and space, but it adds up to 8 minutes. Okay. You know, it sounds like she's a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist, so you're trained. So you help her when you see her and talk with her. But human beings need community. And if most of the people she's around aren't very helpful or supportive, recommend that she go to the local Zen center, or if there's no Zen center, to a Buddhist center, and start to see if she is attracted by the teaching and try it. We had one university girl, Korean woman who spoke some English, come here and sit a couple weeks of retreat. And she keeps coming back. And she said, this is the one place she goes to where nobody's checking her. So she likes it. Now, of course, any religious group can become not so wonderful too. But I always liked how with Sunim in our centers, the doors were like this. You want to try, you can come in. You want to go, you can go. No problem. So encourage her to, you know, go to a Buddhist center. If you can't get her interested in anything else, you're here at a Buddhist talk. Give her some simple piece of teaching. Maybe it'll strike a chord. In Korea, one thing that's very attractive about the Christian churches is the social atmosphere that they create. There's even something called a kyoe oppa. It means a church boyfriend. So many people say, I go to church to find a boyfriend. So actually, one of the biggest and most important things about any religious practice is the community, the connection between people. Actually, this Sunday at the Whole World Single Flower, 9 p.m. in Korea, we have the last panel, and it's about sustainable development. And we have a scientist and a Zen teacher and a Dae Bong Sunim in Hong Kong and myself. They'll talk from the science angle and the various things the Zen centers are doing with nature. And I want to talk mostly about community and about the importance of it and about nurturing community. And one way is also to take on projects that involve nature or the community outside your religious group too. But try and get her to give a try in some, you know, I'm a monk practicing, so I say, come to the Zen Center. She's in Korea. Well, right now we can't have visitors at our temple, sorry, but if she can, go to a practicing place and connect, see if she connects. And then you have Dharma friends. You know, Buddha Dharma Sangha means teacher, teaching, and friends, practicing friends. And why is that one of the 3 jewels? Because it's very, very important and valuable. Sunday, I'll talk about how this famous psychologist, Abraham Maslow, in the 50s and 60s, he basically built his teaching on human beings need 4 things: food, clothing, shelter, community. And I would add spirituality of some sort. And one lovely thing about I guess, especially if the teaching's good teaching, healthy teaching, is the community part. Look, we're a community here. We're a Zoom community. And I can even see 5 people's faces and a lotus flower that somebody put on in place of their face. I guess I can change the view and see a lot more. Okay, now I think in my chat, there were a whole lot of questions somebody sent, but I'm not going to read them because it's, well, maybe it wasn't that long. Yeah, I can, you know, I don't know what to do with. Some are written in Korean, so maybe they went to everybody. Maybe you took the questions off air. Yeah, here's the one about Jojo. I get confused between emptiness and nothingness. It's like, you know, I get confused between rice and rice. Don't worry about it. Don't think about the words. Oh, they were written here. I got them too. I just didn't read it. Yeah, Buddha lacked something and it helped everybody. He went out, practiced hard, got enlightenment. So without lacking, why would anybody practice? Good situation becomes a bad situation. Bad situation becomes a good situation. So now many of us personally and in society have bad situations, but if that causes us to raise a big question and look at ourselves and try to learn more, then it's very beneficial. So I think, moderator, it's your turn to take over and run things. So thank you, everybody, for your questions and paying attention. And I'll say one short thing at the end when the moderator's done. Yeah, save them. Oh, you can send them to me early too, so I can build it into the talk. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it. So everybody, good night. And when you go out, please try to keep social distancing, wash your hands often, and wear a mask. And maybe the moderator has something more to say, but I just say good night and good luck. See you in 2 weeks.